What's something you wish you never did? Story 1. Taking my ex-GF for granted. I didn't realize how much I loved her until she left. I don't think I'll ever love someone like that again. It's been almost 2 years, I still have dreams at night about her. Story 2. I have a pretty unlikable coworker that I'm forced to talk to every day. She's always negative, rarely has anything good to say about anything, constantly messing things up and making my job harder, and overall just makes everyone around her miserable. Something that has helped me is radical acceptance. She's not going to change, so I don't waste my time trying. I've worked with her long enough to know she's easily redirected, so I'll talk about things I know she likes, like her dogs, and luckily we have very similar political views. If she ends up going on a tirade about something that I know I'll get heated about if I engage, I'll just nod along and then ask her if she's seen a regular customer in a while, how her dogs are doing, or if she heard about something I read in the news. It's not 100% foolproof, but it works the majority of the time, and working with her has been much more tolerable. I also avoid telling her really anything about my personal life because I know that it isn't safe to talk about most of what goes on. Easier said than done, I know. When I'm having a bad day with accepting this, I just repeat this quote by Wayne Dyer to myself: peace is when you accept things as they are, not how you think they should be. It helps me recognize that a lot of what I'm feeling comes from the fact that she shouldn't be like this, and while that's true, reality is that she is like this. Maybe this will help, maybe it won't, but we never know unless we try, right? Story 3. Alcohol is something else, man. I don't drink, never really have. My mom had a slight issue with drink through my life, not like borderline alcoholic drinking non-stop every day, but if overstressed or going through something, she'd drink during the day while we were at school and then hide it even though you could smell it and also just tell. Messed me up pretty good seeing that multiple times whenever she had stuff going on. Even unlocked memories of when I was too young to know she was drunk, but as I got older I realized those times she was acting weird is because she was drunk. She's fine now, she doesn't do that anymore, but my dad and older brother do go out quite often to drink and go on nights out. But I can't think of anything worse. I'm not wanting to crap on what people enjoy, but I feel like a lot of people are more dependent on it than they realize, and because it's so normalized they don't seem to notice. The peer pressure people put on people to just have one, or don't be boring. My friend's dad refused to go to a restaurant because they didn't serve alcohol there. You telling me you need alcohol that much you refuse to try a nice place because you just have to have a beer? Honestly, my family drink that much to the point any sort of day out or activity they do, if there's no alcohol in some way, I know they won't enjoy it. Yeah, they might not be alcoholics in the normal sense, but there's a huge dependency on it in our society and how they need to drink to have a good time. Like I can go out, have a nice meal with my girlfriend and have like a soft drink and come home and have had a lovely afternoon. With my family? Say there's a table booked for a meal at 7 p.m. They will go out to the pub at like 2 p.m., drink all the way up to the table is booked, go eat, drink with the meal, then go back to the local until it shuts. I tend to avoid family meals as 90% of the time we go for one they are already drunk before we even get there and I just don't feel comfortable. Story 4. When my dad was in the beginning stages of having a heart attack, I offered to call him an ambulance just in case. He said no, that was alright. Hours later he would die in the driveway while I was on the phone with 911 trying to give him CPR. I wish I never took his turndown of the ambulance. I wish I just insisted or tried to push him towards it. Argued with him till he relented. I will regret it for the rest of my life. Watching someone die, someone you love. I regret not calling 911 earlier. I regret not taking proper CPR classes, if I did it right. Every time there was a popping sound or he made a gasp I stopped for a sec cause I thought I was hurting him. I regret not having a phone plan at the time, so the 911 operator had to ask me a bunch of dumb questions. She asked me for his phone number since it was his phone if the call got disconnected. I didn't know it. His screams of fear telling me it wasn't the right number, that he couldn't breathe before collapsing will be with me forever. Primal fear. I close my eyes and see his face. I get they got to ask these questions, but why? Why not just send the fucking thing first, ask questions about phone numbers later? I gave her the address, you got the address, boom. Just send it. I knew he was gone when the paramedics were giving him CPR and it took too long. They brought me to a separate room to sit quietly, but I knew. It's like when you're a kid and adults tell you everything will be okay, even when it won't be or isn't. Putting me in a one-door room with just a chair is indication enough. I asked to be with him. Another thing I wish I didn't do. Being in that silent room, with my failure will haunt me forever. Story 5. I gave too much of myself to people who didn't necessarily ask for my help. It just hurt when I saw them suffer and wasn't sure how to help. I learned the hard way to prioritize myself and that it's not selfish. This ended up inspiring people around me to make changes in their own lives. Story 6. Started smoking cigarettes. Quitting Sahel. Wish I'd stuck to just candy cigarettes.
Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more awesome content. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for your support and let's get back to the stories. Story 7. Have my ankle and hip injury. I have never recovered. I'm only 29, and I can barely walk, even after years of PT. It has gone up my chain, and now I have scoliosis, flat feet, uneven leg lengths, fibromyalgia, and can barely move my neck some days. I'm terrified I'm going to end up paralyzed. I can't tell how much of this is genetic, or what part of it can be traced back to my injuries. All I know is that I've never been the same since. Story 8. Cut myself as a teenager. I'm 24 now and have so many ugly scars. They're embarrassing. I can't believe I was so stupid as to permanently harm myself like that. That is my biggest regret. Story 9. Get fat. As stupid as it sounds, I got into the habit of comfort eating and gained a lot of weight very quickly, within 6 months to a year. Even with a good diet, exercise, and a plan, it's taken me years to get back down even close to where I was before, and my relationship with food is completely ruined. If I eat too much, or I perceive that I have eaten too much, I get really stressed by it. I also get really anxious about putting on weight again, especially when I do put a little bit on and my clothes are tighter than normal. Story 10. Never would have let myself lie and go to my friend's place in high school. Long story short, I ended up in the hospital for a negligent discharge of a firearm and it shaped my whole adult life. My mom didn't know what was going on and neither did the rest of my family as I am one of 5 children. Army didn't want me anymore and now I'm working towards a degree I never thought I would have. Story 11. In 2020 I spent my birthday at my cousin's house in PA because his birthday is only a day after mine, September 24th. I had a great time but my grandpa said something about my sister and my mom, and apparently my aunt was being annoying to my mom too. So a few days later, I hop on Xbox to play Fortnite with my cousin, and we start to have an argument. The thing I wish I never did is tell my mom about it, because she told me to practically cut all ties with my cousin, aunt, uncle, my cousin's brother, and almost everyone on my dad's side of the family. It seemed okay at the time, but a few months later I realized that I'll have no online friends. I look back on how much my cousin would make me laugh on late nights playing Xbox. Damn, I miss it. Story 12. Due to a past of bullying, I always treated my classmates who were actually nice to me like shit because I forgot the feeling of not being bullied. For years I acted like I was the morally correct person and that they were the assholes not including me and stuff, even though I didn't even give them a reason to like me. The worst part is that they really tried being friends with me, but I was always too stupid to see that people didn't hate me. Until this day I want to apologize to these people for being such a piece of shit while they tried their absolute best to include me into things. I wish I would have given those people a chance. Story 13. Dated my ex. She wanted to marry quicker than I did. Financially it didn't make sense. Red flags during arguments and a lack of maturity. But that's the thing, those were major problems, but I want to believe they were small so I can go back to her and apologize for ending things. Yes, those issues were big and honestly I don't think there's much of a workaround, but man, she was amazing and I'm still head over heels for her. I try to move on, but they aren't her. They don't match my humor like she did, they don't match the level of affection like she did. It just sucks. I can't drive past places or go down certain highways without this black hole feeling in my gut. I just wish we had never dated so that I never would have to feel this horrible feeling every single day. It's been months. Story 14. Dated and had intercourse with my ex. It wasn't that she was a bad person, but she wanted to move way quicker than I was interested in moving. I went into the relationship not expecting it to turn into anything sexual. We are both Christians and we're not supposed to do that. Well, we did, 3 months in, and while I don't regret it, I definitely wish I hadn't. It would have made it easier to break up with her earlier. Story 15. Being very open to some of my colleagues who doesn't share or talk anything personal about them with me. I always end up in those situations where I am made fun of about my personal stuff and I don't even know anything about the other person to retaliate or at least give a decent reply. Story 16. Competed with a homeless guy for the best spot in the library to write. Used to sit in one particular spot where I could set up my laptop next to a plug-in and write for hours. But he started showing up, grabbing the same encyclopedia volume from a nearby shelf, flipping to the same page every time, daily for months on end, and just stare at it for hours. There was no other spot in the library that good to write, so I started competing against him to claim it. I would arrive right at opening and claim it and he'd go sit somewhere else. Did this for months? What I didn't know was that the guy was crawling with bedbugs. I didn't know until I started waking up at home with bites, especially along visible veins. Then woke up in the middle of the night to find them all over my mattress. Ended up sleeping on my living room couch for 9 months or so while they starved to death in my bedroom. And I steered clear of the guy in every chair he sat at. Of course the library went from cloth to vinyl chairs only after this happened. Thank you all for watching and don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe.